We start with some breaking news. Just as I was clicking record on today's episode, boom, got hit with the headline that Kevin McCarthy has been ousted. So we'll start with sort of a quickly put together segment discussing this breaking news here from CNN. House ousts Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to oust Representative Kevin McCarthy in a historic vote on Tuesday. The vote on the motion to vacate was 216 to 210, with 8 Republicans voting to remove McCarthy from the speakership. It lists the names there. The House will now need, oh no, here this goes again, to elect a new speaker, but there is no clear alternative who would have the support needed to win the gavel. No House Speaker has ever been ousted through the passage of a resolution to remove them. Now, Matt Gaetz filed this resolution, and Democrats went, do we want to jump in and save Kevin McCarthy, or just say, sure, we'll oust him? And they said, yeah, we'll oust him. So then all you needed was a few House Republicans to go along with that. Matt Gaetz and some others, as was listed there, went along with it. And Kevin McCarthy, for the first time based on this process, has been ousted in American history. The first time a speaker, I should say, through this process has experienced that. Now, he is a bad leader. He has failed. I would say for different reasons likely than Matt Gaetz does. The hardliners who have gone for this say it's because of McCarthy bending the knee too much to the Biden administration, not getting big enough concessions, agreeing to fund the government based on terms that weren't hardline enough for these individuals, wanting bigger spending cuts, and a few different things as well. But I want to reflect on the fact, or continue to emphasize, better put, that they'll have their debate over the details. They're having their conflict. We'll cover it extensively. But zooming out, this is the best example of what I talk about day after day. The Republican Party is not a serious governing party. And the difference between what we're getting from them here, the chaos caucus, as it's called, is so inferior to that of the Democratic Party, a serious governing party. Far from perfect. But way better at actually getting in there, getting things done, and then providing the American people with, here's a list. You can have issues with it, but here's a list, the one we've gone through time and time again in the past, of actual policy achievements that we got through when we had power. Republicans, sure, they'll try to come up with a list, but this is what people will remember. This is what people are experiencing. Chaos, debacles time and time again. And it seems no intention of actually getting things done. So now Kevin McCarthy is no longer the Speaker of the House. He will have to, he will attempt to fight his way back into that position by running in the vote casting process yet again. Will it take 15 votes this time to decide, or 30? We'll just have to see, and I will, of course, continue to cover it. But here was that historic moment that just took place.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
My goodness. Now, if they had any sense, they would say, you know what? Clearly, we don't know what on earth we're doing. We can't even get through the 2 years without revolting against the Speaker of the House. And so, Democrats, you choose and we'll unify around your choice. Hakeem Jeffries, you take the gavel, actually. You obviously are much more of an adult. They probably won't do that, though. Here was some of what Matt Gaetz had to say on the House floor while this was being debated.
From Florida.
My colleague says we've passed the strongest border bills in history. Well, guess what? Look at the border right now. We didn't use sufficient leverage in the debt limit or in any other thing to actually get results on the border. The border is a disaster, really something I don't think you're going to be campaigning on, that you fixed the border. Second, you said you streamlined regulations. What the gentleman from Louisiana doesn't tell you is that all of the regulatory reform he was just bragging about is waivable by the stroke of a pen of someone in the Biden White House. Do you really think you've got anything for that? It's a total joke. And then finally, the welfare to work that the gentleman from Louisiana said we got. The welfare programs that they said that they streamlined with their welfare to work stuff, they're actually going to grow. Because while they did work requirements, they blew out those programs with expanded eligibility. I'm real glad you guys didn't put work requirements on Medicaid. It probably would have resulted in Medicaid expansion. And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, oh, boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking.
And I will continue to say, despite the constant alluding to Republicans being the party of fiscal responsibility, they do have in modern American history a worse record on the very metrics they purport to care about, being debt and deficits. And they choose to act irresponsibly by their own metrics. But instead of doing that in the interest of programs that at least in the meantime benefit people in a significant fashion who actually need it, like these social programs they want to cut spending for, instead, they'll jack up deficits to do things like Trump's massive tax cuts that disproportionately benefited those at the top of the economic ladder. Big tax cuts for those who don't need it are already so wealthy. So I don't want to hear it from the Chaos Caucus on this one. And it's not the justification that they think that it is to do these massive cuts to spending when, again, they have such a bad record on those metrics. Then you have, so within the party, you have your hardliners. We already have talked about so many times in the past, the MAGA people and the more moderate Republicans, and there's division there. Now we're subdividing, even more division within that. Within the MAGA hardcore hardliner part of the Republican Party, they're not united around this effort. And Chip Roy isn't going for the ousting of, well, doesn't matter now, but he wasn't going to go for the ousting of Kevin McCarthy. And so Matt Gaetz attacked him. Now, two people who used to be a part of the same little hardliner part of the party are having some trouble in paradise.
Come at me and call me a rhino, you can kiss my ass. Look, I've spent a lifetime fighting for limited government conservatism. I have laid it all on the line. I've not seen my family but for 2 days in the last 30 days. You go around talking your big game and you thumping your chest on Twitter. Yeah, come to my office and come have a debate, mother. You know why? Because I'm standing up for this country every single day.
So come to my office and say it to my face. Mayhem. And we'll keep talking about the specifics of this battle and what is Kevin McCarthy saying? What is Matt Gaetz saying? You know, what's the response from Chip Roy? Come to my office, Matt. And all these things matter. This is who is currently in charge. And so that's in and of itself important. But even more important, let's make sure we emphasize the contrast. Whatever the heck you call this is one of your options in this upcoming election. And the other option, with any issues you might have with them, at least did real governance, tried to solve real issues when they had a majority in the House of Representatives. That is so important to point out. Even if you don't agree with the American Rescue Plan or Inflation Reduction Act, you don't want to lower prescription drugs for Medicare recipients for some reason, or the PACT Act, I don't know why you disagree with that, or the Chips and Science Act. At least we're having policy conversations that matter and are meaningful, and when implemented actually benefit people's lives. At least that's the context of the discussion, not this. And this, as well as everything else we've seen from them, starting even before day one, technically, when Kevin McCarthy was just trying to get his speakership, not to mention all the political attacks against President Biden, investigation after investigation, hearing, getting nothing. It benefits no one. And that is such a devastating reality, very much emphasized by this whole debacle we're watching play out.